All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to everyone who joined us today in our session. My name is Anton. I'm a delivery director here at Ioantis, and I will be your host for today's session, where we'll be talking about utilizing AI into recruiting, into optimizing the performances of your hirings, and making your funnel of recruiting AI assisted or AI optimized. But before we get right in the topic, let me just quickly set the stage. And I'm super happy to confirm that today we have the majority of our audience came from finance and retail audience. So while the discussion and while the course of our today's event, we will be making more and more accents on how specifically for AI, for those business domains, AI could be utilized. I will be sharing the presentation for you today, so feel free to mention your comments into the comment section on the platform of LinkedIn or YouTube, depending on where you are watching us. And after the presentation, I will have a dedicated time for Q&A. So any questions, comments, and feedback is more than welcome. Then I'm just to get started sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it. All right. Then, as I mentioned, our topic for today's session is AI-assisted recruitment funnel. So we will go through the such topics as we will start mostly from understanding of what are the capabilities of artificial intelligence at first. Then we will try to map those capabilities with needs of precisely recruiting. We will go through understanding of how specific KPIs and metrics could be addressed using the artificial intelligence. And in the end, we will summarize the next steps and how tomorrow in your organization you can start thinking and applying the knowledge that we will be discussing today right away. Before that, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Anton. I'm a delivery director here at Ioantis. That's my second year in the company. And throughout the course of the years, I was in different roles and different responsibilities. Mostly, I was on the project and product management side. Mostly that was fintech and retail projects. That's why I started my speech from that I was super happy to confirm the audience that we have today is quite relevant. So I hope my knowledge and expertise will be relevant to you as we go through the course of the webinar today. Then to get started our conversation, I wanted to share with you a common myth that I often hear from our customers and from leads we have in our communication, and not only from our own experience, but it's also confirmed by several researchers of Big Four and other research companies, because I find it really necessary to state, because quite often nowadays AI is a super buzz, and more business stakeholders without technical experience are kind of confused and misinterpret the utilization of AI and its truth capabilities. We will talk about that later on as well, but first let's discuss those myths, because I find it really relevant. And the first goes like that: AI solve any problems without human interventions. We all believe in magic, at least to a certain degree, but sadly, in this particular case, especially when we speak about optimization of processes, there is still certain degree of human intervention is needed, because AI, as we will be talking later, is highly targeted on repeated and highly predicted operations, data, or processes by its nature. And this is where the ROI of AI is the highest. But I have you covered, so we will talk about that later on. And there are precise strategies how we can maximize that ROI. The second myth goes like that: AI understands context like human. That's the key, the cornerstone here is that AI isn't human. It's still a machine. It's still a machine learning model that is created but human, but still it's not a human at the end. And that's the task of us, like engineering teams, to make the experience human-like, but still it doesn't have its own comprehension. So the expectations should be reasonable from implementing that innovation in your company. The third one goes like that. Artificial intelligence can be implemented instantly, just like that, and you have your process optimized, you have your AI funnel of recruiting created, and you get like lots and lots of new positions and new candidates. That would be a fairy tale, that would be magic, but unfortunately not. And there are still some steps, there are still some particular preparations should happen in any organization before implementing an artificial intelligence innovation. I'm happy to have you here because for me that's a sign as for a representative of tech companies that you have this understanding. And my goal for today is actually bring you that understanding and give you practical steps and roadmap how and what are those preparations necessary for implementation of artificial intelligence in your company. And last but not least is that artificial intelligence is only for big companies, for Google, for Microsoft, for Apple, for those big whales. Not at all. Maybe several years ago that was the truth, but thankfully today the level of simplification and level of proprietary modernization of AI is that high that there are a number of tools, practice, and approaches that allows even for smaller companies implementation of AI, whether through already built models or solutions that are kind of product-like, or there are some open source even solutions that could be customized and adapted per your request or per your business needs. So having this as a stage setter, let's actually review what are the capabilities of AI. And having this in mind, we can then be more sure and kind of in a good level of awareness of what are the ways of utilization of artificial intelligence in recruiting. So first, and I think that's the most fundamental scenario, is automation of repetitive tasks, because any artificial intelligence solution, any innovation, in essence, it's a model that is based on the repetitive data, and that model is that model utilizes the historical data or some patterns that it consists in its own. So if in your any operation, could be recruiting or any other area of your business, you have some repetitive, manual, and highly constant operations, that's definitely the potential for AI to be valuable innovation for optimizing those tasks. Second one, direction or scenario is predicting outcomes based on the data. And it's not actually a rocket science. We had some statistical methods even before that. But the benefit of AI is that that data could be less structured, and there are less of effort needed for particular tech team to get a value, like to monetize that data and get some practical prediction or some trend out of that data. The third one is actually personalized user experience. That's completely different from the perception point scenario of utilizing the artificial intelligence, and it's mostly for interaction of human with different systems, whether it's some internal tool, whether it's some external product that you sell to your customers, it doesn't really matter. The model of artificial intelligence is allowed to analyze and suggest the best experience for particular needs based on the historical data or some preferences that you set within the user interface and user experience in general. And last, I guess I slightly touched it already. The analysis of unstructured data is definitely a benefit of any AI product or initiative, because as I mentioned, the level of preparation and a level of prediction based even on unstructured data utilizing the AI is much higher comparing to casual methods such as statistical analysis or any more casual tools that we already got used to while we working with data. So having this understanding and having discussed having covered the myth that commonly business stakeholders are bumped into while planning the adoption of AI in their organizations, the next logical step, as per me, is actually understanding needs of each higher stage. Because now, as we have on one side understanding of what the actual capabilities of AI and what it could be used for, we need to find those gaps in any organization where exactly the level of value will be maximized. Otherwise, why would we consider utilizing the AI for your funnel optimization? And I suggest to try mapping the actual funnel. I will go with the most traditional one of 7 stages. Based on the capabilities that I previously covered, you can even make it afterwards with your teams. Make that exercise and try to see where do you have that level, that amount of unstructured data that analyzing and prediction of which you can get some value, or where do you have the most repeated amount of work that is a bottleneck for your let's say attraction stage, right? Here on the slide, I suggest some like I would say even traditional approaches of how AI could utilize could be utilized in your funnel even today. But my biggest advice, and I want to make sure that that will be the takeaway from our session today for your teams, is that try to understand where is the bottleneck and try to map that bottleneck, whether it could be solved using the AI and those capabilities that we just discussed. Because depending on what company you are working for, whether it's some bigger company and you don't really have any issues with awareness, like everybody know your brand and everybody aware about your job offerings, probably your bottleneck will be sitting somewhere in interest and even rather application in the manual effort that should be taken by your recruitment team to analyze the CVs or to address the some commonly asked questions about social packages or some benefits or some conditions of employment and so on. Or if you, for example, work in retail and you have much higher level of turnaround in your organization due to the nature of the domain, in this case, probably onboarding that will be the biggest like deposit of like uncovered value in your organization, and there in that space some AI assistant or some system for optimization of frequently asked questions could be the most valuable implementation of AI. So to summarize, I think, and my advice is that do the homework and try to analyze what are the bottlenecks in your current funnel. And it could be that actually AI could solve your challenges, but as we already discussed, it's not a magic stick, so it couldn't really cover all of your issues. But being equipped with the knowledge that we discussed, that could really change your perception on utilizing the AI. Then let's try to look at the topic of our webinar from a bit of different angle, and the other approach and the other dimension that we could explore is actually trying to address or like to enhance your metrics using the AI. I'm for today prepared two of them. The first one is actually minimizing the cost per single vacancy and like making each particular hire cheaper and cheaper in terms of investments in your team, or we could look at that in the other angle, like expand the bandwidth of your recruitment team and let them process more vacancies at a single period of time. Here, in this case, there are multiple strategies or like approaches you could follow. First and foremost, as we already discussed, automation of repetitive tasks such as candidate screening or scheduling of interviews or sourcing the candidates. That's the direction you could go with. And there are some practical tools that we will be discussing later on for that could be applied. Additionally, AI could help you into pre-screening stages. So mapping the candidates' profiles to your ideal candidate profile could be also a significant simplification or like optimization of your stage, so that AI assistant could help you to suggest the most relevant candidates that could be with a higher probability a good fit for that particular position that you are looking for. Again, that's just a few of suggestions. And as I mentioned, really good amount of analysis upfront is that what you want to start your journey for. But the purpose of such angle could be a good complementation to the previous exercise. So once you mapped your recruitment funnel and once you understood where the gaps, then decomposing those stages in the particular metrics that you want to enhance, like some you want to decrease, some you want to increase, could be a next logical step in the journey. The other metrics that again could be addressed using the artificial intelligence is actually funnel performance. So essentially making the amount of candidates available for each particular position, each particular vacancy higher and bigger. That's where artificial intelligence could be really beneficial, and such tools that could help you automate sourcing of your candidates or specific marketing campaigns, even in the social media or in other channels that you use for bringing the awareness about your brand. That's another angle or direction of using the AI. So there are lots of other directions that could be explored. I think that was a good essence of first steps and awareness about overall capabilities of AI nowadays. But as I mentioned, we have quite a few of audience from such a specific domains as a finance, and that's why you really also should be cautious about security concerns, because AI is always about processing data, and in recruiting, it's even more critical because it's quite often about processing of personal data, and whether you operate in some specific areas like under compliance to GDPR or CCPA, you should be cautious about how your project or your tools that you plan to utilize, whether it's compliant or not. That's another angle of consideration. In general, you want to make sure and decompose your data flow from end to end to analyze how compliant is a solution that you are building or the product that you plan to integrate in your system. with those regulations of your particular regions, because it's quite a necessary thing, especially when we speak about interacting with PII in a certain regions such as EU or the US or as any other countries. And even more, as we started our conversation about AI, it's quite human-like, and the interaction with it could be slightly confusing for specific people. You want to set some boundaries of ethical perception of your tool, and kind of think about to what degree you want your experience to be human-like, and where are those boundaries behind which you want to make sure that actual human interaction with the system or with particular user or with particular client. So those are quite necessary topics that you also want to make sure that you have covered. Speaking about actual case studies and where you can start, I prepared for you today quite fresh and recent summary of our cooperation with one retail chain of cosmetics and household goods. That's the company of, like, I would say, mid to large size that operates on the market of, and their headcount as of now is 13,000 people. Like in general, all of the retail, management, logistics, e-commerce platforms in total. And they at some point understood that they could really benefit from implementing the AI into their HR processes, but the level of company, like corporate awareness about overall systems and technology wasn't that high, particularly in this area. So that's why they reached out to us as a technology company to help them to build out the roadmap of implementing AI and essentially explore where they could start gaining the benefits out of implementation. And that's quite fruitful cooperation for both of us, because eventually nowadays they automated quite a few of processes and areas in their both HR and recruiting flows. And particularly based on that cooperation in Yolantis, we kind of extracted few accelerators that I also happy to introduce you today. So the first of them is actually onboarding AI agent. Getting back to that partnership, the case was like that. So they unfortunately or fortunately had and still have nearly 50% of their staff annually changed, and they turn around, particularly into retail, like in brick and mortar stores, is nearly half of the whole headcount annually. And that means for them that each year they have to onboard on average from 3,000 to 4,000 of newcomers into their retail network, into their retail chain of shops. And some questions such as how can I open the shop, or how can I close the cash day, how can I order some goods and stationaries for my shops, always should be asked. But on the other hand, the answers is always repeated. And to unload the managers of particular shops, there was a business decision to build some AI onboarding agent that would help to newcomers to automate their flow of onboarding. Not gonna lie, even before that, they already had some chatbot implemented in the company, but that was rather like linear experience, and the level of interaction with the system was quite limited. And implementing of AI brought that level of human-like interaction with the system, and the generative AI helped to make the interaction even more efficient by understanding the context of each particular question and suggesting the really relevant answer to particular question of that precise person. So that was the benefit, and hence the significant amount of time was saved from managers and like higher level staff in that company. And for us, we agreed that we will utilize that model as our accelerator. So nowadays we have it as a standalone accelerator. So if you want to at some point explore these capabilities and like potential for your organization, really happy and invite you to stay in touch, and we can discuss about that offline. The other dimension of the same model of the same AI core is FAQ AI agent. Quite similar use case, but more into retail, also into retail, but more about understanding the goods specifications and particular use cases about, as an example, purchasing options. Let's say you have a network of luxurious watches and some other goods, and you want to there are increasing amount of particular questions whether I can get this particular product with that credit line or like into splitted payments for half a year. That's where the AI could help you to map actual capabilities of your partners in the financial field and your availability of goods on your stock, like whether it's watches, cars, or any other goods you have. And mapping those two, the model, the AI agent, could help you to provide the relevant answer to a particular query of, at first, it could be your team, like your staff, but later on, there are no like significant borders to letting that AI agent be even interacted with actual customers, as a first line of support or as some targeted selling campaign. So those are the few examples of our real work, and you can explore those options by yourself. I will definitely share the presentation afterwards, but if you have some questions, feel free to address them just now as we go through the course of this presentation, or later on, all the contacts will be shared afterwards as a follow-up to the session. Then, if to say about actual practical steps, like having this knowledge that we cover today, what would I suggest for you tomorrow to start with, considering the AI? And definitely the first step when it comes to a recruiting funnel would be assessing the bottlenecks and defining them. As I mentioned, AI couldn't really solve all of the problems, but quite a few of them it could solve, and deeper understanding of what exactly the capabilities of the tool set and what are your problems and mapping them is definitely the first and the most fundamental step in this journey. Then once you identify those gaps and potentially found the actual stages and the most valuable areas that you want to address using the AI, the second stage would be identifying the stages for its integration. Definitely, as I mentioned, it won't be one day switch, so it's still a rather journey for implementing, but maximizing the value and bringing the reasonable stages of implementing it and preparing those decomposing that solution in multiple stages is the second stage. The third one will be choosing the AI tools or platforms, and here will be your build or buy decisions. There are always plenty of tools out there on the market that could suggest you already built or already developed solutions, even for those use cases that they covered previously, some chatbots or automated marketing. There are pros and cons of building something unique, like with your internal team or utilizing some teams like us, and goes in a direction of custom software or bringing some product from the market. I would say here you need to make a decision based on the strategical level and assess your budget and overall strategy for adopting AI. If it's kind of a POC, then probably you want to try out something from the market, from the already built solutions. But then if you have your like hard and stone decision that you are gonna invest and build something for a long time, then definitely considering something more custom and tailored built for your company is definitely the direction you wanted to explore. The next stage, once you have your roadmap, once you understand what are the tools you need, is actually assessing the readiness for AI innovation, and that's really a necessary step. As a follow-up to this webinar today, we also will be providing the multiple areas or like multiple steps self checklist that could help you in that step, because as I mentioned, there are a number of preparation steps should be taken, and you want to make sure that you have all of the data prepared, all of the business process covered, all of your ethical and compliance aspects covered, and so on and so forth, so that the checklist will be really handy in that step. Then once you have this covered, and once you understand that you have all of the preconditions and inputs ready, the actual build step is the following, and here based on these steps and stages, you want to build your roadmap for deploying that innovation. And last but not least is actually training and mentoring of your team of utilizing those tools is the last stage. So because not just tools itself, but you want to make sure that your team is well aware and well trained for utilizing those tools in their daily operations and so on. Those are the steps that we usually go through with our clients. So it's up to you really. If you have some questions, feel free to come to us with any queries after the webinar. If not, feel free to use those steps by yourself. But in any case, I think based on our experience and pastly implemented projects, those are the most reasonable steps for implementing AI, not only in recruiting, but in general in any area of your business operations. Well, then at this stage, I have my main agenda of the presentation covered, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and happy to answer to some questions if there are some. All right. Which language model your product based on? There are actually no hard dependency on language, because it could be trained, like the flow works like that it analyzes the inputs data. So whether you have your documents or like business processes described in English or in French, then the system would analyze and vectorize the data in English and in French and be capable to answer to your questions or like perform in those languages that you provided for the inputs to your data. The only thing here is that if you plan to build some multi-language tool, but all of your inputs only in single language, let's say English, but you want to make sure that your model is operating in multiple languages, then some additional effort is needed for training the model to be ethical and like properly performed in those multiple languages that you want to implement in your solution. Hope I answered the question. If not, feel free to add some additional comments. And the second one, I have messages from audience. Yes, it's here. All right. I think that was the only one question as of today. Guys, if there are some, please feel free to drop them even offline after the session. The contacts to my LinkedIn or to our social media will be shared afterwards. And at this stage, I want to say thank you for everyone who joined. I hope that was a really pleasant and insightful session for you today. And please expect the follow-up from our side with all the materials and checklists that promised in a short time period. Thank you very much. Take care and bye-bye.